looks like we have a representative of each house here, so no one's getting DQ'd this year. That never happened before. I'm just happy it worked out so smoothly this year. I am Lars Christensen. I'm one of the homecoming general co-chairs.
And I'm Alex Menard, the other homecoming general co-chair. And you've been getting your general co-chairs have been getting emails from us, and you guys will continue to get emails from us. But the two that you'll be working closely with are Ben and Aaron, and they'll be leading the presentation tonight.
Also, here tonight we have some guys from EH&S. They will be giving a short presentation on some more safety stuff. You guys want to introduce yourself or anything? No?
I'm Brian Corley with EH&S. I'm Bruce Bassler, and I use the architecture department.
So, without further ado.
Hi, I'm Ben McDonald. I'm one of the Lonsdale co-chairs.
I'm Aaron Williams, and I'm the second.
So if you guys can go ahead and take a look at your Lux Play Safety Meeting agenda, we are going to do chapter signings, introductions. So if we have no further ado, we're going to go on to the safety presentation. I believe EH&S is going to take it from there.
Well, hi everybody. Like we just said, my name is Brian Corley. I'm with Environmental Health and Safety. For those of you who are unfamiliar with my department, we do a wide variety of safety services for the university. Anything from chemical waste handling to radiation safety to running the incinerator at the vet college. I primarily deal with fire safety, and I also get to work with student groups and student events and hopefully give some good safety guidance for those events. I've been involved with lawn displays for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. I think this is the 3rd year that I can kind of come and give a little talk. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I know you guys are hoping for a long, exhaustive safety meeting, but I'll probably only take about 10 to 15 minutes of your time to go over some of the guidelines. How many of you guys are new to this? How many of you have been to a safety meeting before? Okay, so you guys are all pretty much newbies then? A lot of you guys? Okay. Well, I'm just going to touch on a couple of key topics. So I'll talk about general site safety. 2 of the things we're most concerned about are going to be some of the electrical issues and some of the fall protection hazards. And then there's a new rule this year regarding excavations. We saw some things last year that we're kind of concerned about, so that kind of gave us an idea that maybe we should have a little bit of a rule on that. I will say that I try to be as flexible as possible with you guys. I'm going to give you guys some good safety guidance and good rules to follow. But I also want lawn displays to be as impressive and as creative as they have been. So I'd like lawn displays to continue as is. We're not trying to limit you guys. We just want you guys to maintain a good level of safety. So general site safety, just make sure you guys are practicing good housekeeping. And what I mean by that is just keep your site halfway clean. Don't have boards laying around that have nails on them. Don't leave tools and electrical equipment out in the rain, things like that. Just try to have some level of organization out there. When it comes to using tools, I know you guys are using saws and drills and power tools and all that kind of thing. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing out there. If you're somebody who doesn't have experience with that stuff, make sure you understand how to use that properly. Make sure you train the new guys how to use that. If it has guards on it, make sure the guards are used properly and they're not taken off or removed. You also need to be concerned about hot work. How many of you guys do any sort of welding or torch cutting and some of your stuff? Okay. Very good. Well, hot work is a pretty significant fire hazard. The university has a hot work permit program, so anytime we do welding or anything like that outside of the shop area, requires a permit and approvals and inspection and all that. We're not going to require you guys to do that, but you need to be aware that it is a significant fire hazard. The sparks, the slag from combustible materials can actually travel considerable distances, get into combustible materials, smolder for a while before starting a fire. So just be concerned about that. If you're doing any welding on site, just be aware where your combustibles are, especially if you're getting close to your houses. Personal protective equipment and clothing. Safety glasses should be worn on site. So if you're in the construction phase, you're hammering away, you're sawing, you're using tools, power tools and things like that, you should be wearing your safety glasses. Also, you shouldn't be out there in flip-flops or open-toed sandals or anything like that. You should have closed-toed shoes, boots of some kind. Now I'm going to kind of touch on some of the electrical safety issues. There's really nothing new from an electrical safety standpoint this year than in past years. You guys have been doing a really good job of trying to comply with this, and we really appreciate it, and we hope that continues. There's still some questions about things last year that hopefully will get things cleared up this year. The first rule is that all your power out there needs to be on GFCI circuits or ground fault circuit interrupter circuits. You guys have probably seen those. They've got the test reset button on them. You've seen them in bathrooms and things like that, right? What they do is they kind of sense the power. They kind of sense that there could be a leak in the power source, and assumes that that leak could be going through you, to get to ground. So it assumes somebody could get a shock there, so it automatically shuts down the circuit before anybody could potentially get in harm's way there. Why do you think we have them as a requirement out on the work sites? Because it rains everywhere, right? Pain in the butt. Pretty much any time you try to get some work done out there, it rains on you. So water and electricity turns out is not a good mix, so that's why we require GFCIs. The next rule, all wiring and extension cords, electrical equipment needs to be outdoor rated. So what we mean by outdoor rated is that essentially it stands up to the elements better. So things like your electrical outlets need to be outdoor rated, and these are all sealed up so water can't get in. You guys have been doing a much better job of complying with those. Even things like your light fixtures all need to be sealed up so water can get in there. Over the years, we also had a lot of questions about what type of wiring you can use, and you indeed should be using outdoor wiring. Supposedly it just kind of handles the elements a little bit better and doesn't get soggy or degrades or anything like that. So if you want to happen to look at any of this stuff afterwards, feel free to come up and take a look. Also, junctions and splices in electrical wiring needs to be in a covered box. We have like a junction box here, and so if you're splicing together a couple cables, you just can't tape it up and leave it on the ground. You need to have it in a covered junction box like this. Again, this is outdoor rated, so it's weather tight. Some of the fall protection issues. Some of your displays get quite high. You're building pretty big structures, and one of the things that probably worries me the most is just the fall protection list that you have. So you guys, I know you use ladders, you use scaffolding. I think some of you use like powered, man lifts and boom lifts and things like that even to get up there and work on your displays. I know some of these things as far as ladder safety goes seem kind of dumb maybe, but people actually do fall off ladders frequently, smart people that know better. So these are just some simple things that maybe you should be aware of if you're out there climbing around. Make sure you check the ladder rating. Don't exceed the weight limit on those. Also consider any materials that you might be carrying up the ladder. Ladder damage. I haven't really looked at too many of your ladders out there, but if you got an old rickety piece of junk, you might want to think about replacing that. As far as extension ladders go, you want to make sure you set those up on good firm ground. It shouldn't be wobbly to either side, nice and firm. You want to set that up at the proper angle, which is about 75 degrees. If you don't have the proper angle on that, the ladder could slide out from under you, you can have a fall. And just, try to maintain 3 points of contact, meaning, 3 limbs on the ladder at any time, just good center of gravity on there. How many of you guys use scaffolding? Why do you guys use scaffolding? Some of you use just a little, some of you have pretty extensive scaffolding. And it's great when used properly, but you need to make sure you kind of follow these guidelines. You need to make sure that you're not mixing components from different manufacturers. Can't imagine it's going to be a problem with you guys, but apparently it's a problem elsewhere. I'm not sure where you get your scaffolding, so hopefully it's not just kind of a hodgepodge of things. Make sure it's stable, so it should be plumbing level. And you can kind of see on the picture there, that's one of the supports, and you see that kind of wood block underneath that. That's a base plate. That needs to be on all 4 of the supports. That just prevents the scaffolding from sinking into the ground, becoming unstable. And just kind of be conscious of people working around the scaffolding. If you're up there with tools and materials, you don't want to drop something on anybody's head or anything like that. Guardrails are also required. So if you've got a work platform and you're up there working on it, you need to have guardrails on all open sides of that scaffolding. This is a picture there, not meaning to pick on anybody, but this was perhaps in setup phase, and this is several years ago before the rules were enforced. But if you've got a work platform up there, make sure that there's guardrails on all sides. You need to have a top rail, a mid rail, and a toe board. That comes from the code. Also, you need to have a fully planked platform. So you can see in this picture there that there's just one plank and there's open space there that somebody can slip and fall through. Basically, from side to side, you need to have a full platform. Okay, just a couple general rules. This has been in place for the last couple of years. There hasn't seemed to be too many questions on this. Just make sure that any walking, working surfaces above 6 feet in your display have guardrails. So these are actually the structures that you're building we're talking about here. If you have a platform that somebody's going to be standing on during the display, it should have a guardrail. We have asked people when we come and do our inspections to put guardrails up, and usually they just haven't gotten around to that yet. Make sure the guardrails worth something. We've seen some fairly flimsy guardrails, so just make sure we can withstand some sort of a load. Also, in general, participants shouldn't be above 10 feet when you're on display. That just, we're not too comfortable with temporary structures being that high and having people occupy them. So that's where that rule came from. And there's kind of a general limit of 5 presentation participants on any structure at any time. What we're trying to prevent there is just a bunch of people on one structure, and we're not necessarily sure if it can hold that load. I think in the past we've had things like bleachers and things like that. We've had a bunch of people on, so that's kind of where that rule's coming from. And the new rule this year relates to excavations. There was one group last year that dug a pretty good sized hole, and I see people laughing. Maybe that's your group. I don't know. But it concerns us because around the workplace in the United States, when people are digging holes and working in holes and things like that, the soil can become unstable and you can cave in on it. With that much weight on it, even if you had an air pocket, it would be hard for him to breathe just because there'd be so much pressure on his chest. So the rule this year is that you may not exceed 3 feet in depth for on-display features, and primarily that's going to affect, I think, water features, ponds and things like that you're building. It does not apply to structural supports, so you can still dig a hole for your structural supports as long as the holes you're digging aren't occupied at any time. As we go along, if you have any questions on this, please give me a call. This is a new rule. There always seems to be some questions that pop up, so as you build your displays, if you have any questions on this, please let me know. And that's pretty much all I have. Like I said, I'm available anytime, so rather than wait till the week of when I do kind of my final inspections, if you have questions on things, whether or not something's approved, call me ahead of time. We can arrange a meeting, we can talk about it, we can go over your design. I had a group do that last year. They had a question on kind of a new display item that hadn't really been used before, and they wondered if it was okay. Kind of talked about it and went through it. I'd rather do that than come to the week of and see something that is of concern and that we not allow that you guys to put that much effort into it and have it being approved. So, I think that's all I have right now. Is there any questions?